Okay, now we're going to look at the development of the social contract in Western thought. Who owes what to whom? We already learned about Cicero writing against the abuses of the Roman Empire. Okay. On the social contract, Oxford Dictionary of Philosophy defines the social contract as a basis for legitimate legal and political power in the idea of a contract. So I said the first day of class that our syllabus is our social contract, and it's got all the terms and agreements, what's due when, what the textbook is, an outline of how the course is going to proceed, and then you had the right to vote with your feet to come back if you agree with the social contract. Not everyone, of course, has that right. Especially if you don't have freedom of movement. So we talked about, so the idea became formalized, most pronounced by Hobbes, Locke, and Rousseau in the early modern period of the Enlightenment. Locke, we learned, is the foundation of theoretical foundation of property rights under the enclosure movement. And this then leads to, instead of the divine right to rule, or you do what the church and the state tell you, you get the rule, which is called the rule of man. You get the rule of law. And the rule of law, Hayek wrote a book called The Constitution of Liberty in 1960. Constitution of Liberty, where he says the best rule of law, and we talked about negative and positive rights. So the best rule of law is a negative rights or freedom from harm rule of law, which is known, knowable, and unchanging. Because if you have known, knowable, and unchanging rule of law, then that creates long-term investments and long-term stages of capital structure and increasing standards of living. So Aquinas has his theory of just price. But he also had, under his just price, it was wrong to charge interest for loanable funds. And so that's what Bomba-Verk did in 1890, was to say that, no, in fact, Aquinas also has a theory that it's wrong to raise your prices during times of emergency. So I don't know if anybody wrote on their fee.org homework about price gouging laws. So let's see. So just price. First and foremost, we should live by the golden rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Do not sell something you don't own. Usury, or the charging of interest, is wrong. Increasing the price of something when the demand increase was seen as wrong. And we've looked at price gouging, or we will, when we talk about the fee.org, about why price gouging laws create shortages during natural disasters, not allowing people to rebuild their homes. So Bomba-Verk then says that, in fact, the charging of interest does have a moral base because people trade with each other. So one of the reasons that English-speaking countries had in the industrial takeoff first is because English-speaking countries are more based on the common law, or law which develops through norms and practices of daily existence, like the bills of exchange, which ended up being traded in London. So you get, as opposed to the Napoleonic commercial code, where the state dictates the rule of law, or in the United States, that's the administrative law, where Congress passes vague acts, and then the administration implements those acts under discretionary rule of law. So known, knowable, common law through practice and history leads to economic prosperity.